Throughout history, there have always been those who walk quietly among us, guardians of the sacred fire. These are the purified souls, the initiates, who have renounced worldly pursuits to protect the spiritual flame burning on humanity's altar. Though the mysteries of antiquity seem lost, the faith of the Golden Age, the first religion, can never truly die. As civilizations rise and fall from Greece and Rome to the grandeur of Egypt, the eternal flame persists, untouched by the passage of time. It is this indomitable, everlasting flame that shapes the destiny of nations and individuals alike, reaching out from the invisible to guide human affairs. This fire, the very spirit of God, burns eternally on the altar of the cosmos. When we reflect on the nations that have come before us, Greece, Rome, and the mighty Egypt, we sigh at their decline, wondering which modern nation will next join the ranks of history's spirits. Yet through the haze of materiality, justice and the reward of the eternal flame remain visible. The great hand of destiny, reaching from the unseen, orchestrates human affairs, drawing its power from the undying fire that sustains all creation. This fire, the divine spirit, is the source of all life and the symbol of God's presence in the universe. If we look back at the now-dead races, we see the cause of their destruction. The light went out. When the flame leaves the body dies. When the altar's light is extinguished, the temple is no longer the dwelling of the living God. Degeneration, lust, hatred, and fear crept into the souls of Greece and Rome, while black magic overshadowed Egypt. The priests lost the word, the name of the flame, and as the last spark faded, mighty nations perished, buried beneath the ashes of their own spiritual fire. Yet the flame itself never dies. Like the spirit, its essence is immortal, for life cannot cease to be. In some wilderness the flame rests, and around it a new nation rises. History continues as long as people remain faithful to the flame. Those who honor the flame are now called pagans, but in truth we are all pagans until baptized by the Holy Spirit, which is fire. Fire is light, and the children of the flame are sons of light, just as God is light. Throughout the ages there have been those who work selflessly to help humanity ignite the divine spark within. These are the initiates of the flame, who through sacrifice and service awakened and nurtured this fire, learning its mysteries through centuries of study. Their lives have left an indelible mark on history, the seal of fire. These unsung and often unrecognized figures worked alongside humanity, their lives now told as fairy tales for children. Yet a time will come when the world recognizes their contributions, realizing that our civilization stands on the shoulders of these mighty demigods of the past. Like Faust, we stand with all our knowledge, no wiser than before, because we refuse to accept the truths and evidence they provided. We honor these sons of fire not with words but by living so that their sacrifice is not in vain. They showed us the way, leading humanity to the threshold of the unknown, then passing beyond the veil in their glorious robes. Let us observe these mighty ones as they pass by. Orpheus with his seven-stringed lyre, Hermes Trismegistus with his emerald tablet, Krishna teaching the secrets of the soul, the exalted Buddha, and Jesus crowned with a halo of golden flame. Mohammed, Zoroaster, Confucius, Odin, Moses, and others, all sons of the flame coming from and returning to the flame. They invite us to join them to serve the flame in our own earned glory. They served only one great ideal, working hand in hand for humanity, united by the brotherhood of all life. In the pages that follow, we trace the great thread, the spiritual thread, the thread of living fire that winds through all religions, connecting them with a shared ideal and mutual need. In the story of the Grail and the legends of King Arthur, we find this thread wrapped around the royal table and the temple on Mount Salvart. This same thread of life runs through the roses of the Rosicrucians, the petals of the lotus, and the temple pillars of Luxor. There is only one religion in the world, the worship of God, the spiritual flame of the universe. Known by many names, whether Iswari, Ammon, or God, the Creator's universal symbol is fire. We are the sons of God, born in the flame, cast as sparks from the wheel of infinity. Around this flame we have built forms that hide our light, but as students, we increase this light through love and service until we are declared eternal sons. Within us, this flame burns, and before its altar the lower self must bow, serving the higher. As we serve the flame, we grow and our light expands until we take our place among the true initiates of the universe, those who have given all to the infinite in the name of the flame within. Let us seek this flame and serve it, knowing it exists in all created things, that all are one because all are part of the eternal flame, the fire of spirit, life, and power of the universe. On the altar of this flame, the true creator of this book, the writer, offers and dedicates it to the only fire that burns from God and is now hidden in every living being. The world is God's classroom. Here all learning is possible with its own grades, sciences, and arts. Admission is every person's birthright, its graduates are its teachers, its students all created things. Nature provides the examples and God's laws are its rules. Those who wish to ascend to higher schools must first work through the common school of life, presenting the diploma of experience, inscribed with a name only the recipient can read. The hours may seem long and the teachers harsh, but each must walk this path, passing through the gates of experience, God's great school for humanity. From the earliest days of history, fire has played a central role in religious rituals. Nearly every faith has sacred altar fires, guarded by priests and vestals with greater care than their own lives. The altar of burnt offerings is as old as humanity itself, dating back to the first person who saw the sun, the great fiery spirit of the universe. Among Zoroastrians, fire has been used for centuries to honor Ormuzd, the great god of fire, believed to have created the universe. Humanity's history is closely tied to the doctrines of fire and water, two opposites of nature. Those who follow the path of faith or the heart use water and are known as the sons of Seth, while those on the path of mind and action are the children of Cain, the son of Samael, the fiery spirit. Today we find the latter among alchemists, Hermetic philosophers, Rosicrucians, and Freemasons. It is important to understand that we ourselves are the cubical altar, upon and within which the altar fire burns. For centuries, the initiate of fire has guarded the spiritual flame within, just as ancient priests watched over the altar fires of the Vestal temple. The flame that burns within you, lighting your path, is the eternal lamp of the ancients. Just as their lamps were fueled by the purest oil, so must your spiritual flame be nourished by a life of purity and altruism. The ever-burning lamp of the alchemist, said to have burned for thousands of years without fuel in Roman catacombs, is a symbol of this same spiritual fire within. In illustrations, we see the ever-burning lamp carried by the initiate on his wanderings, representing the human spine, atop which flickers a small blue and red flame. Just as the ancient lamp was kept burning with the purest olive oil, so does man carry and purify the essence of life within, fueling the ever-burning lamp inside. On the altars of the ancients, sacrifices were offered to their gods. The ancient Hierophant offered spices and incense. Today, the Masonic Brother still has the censer among his symbols, though few recognize its meaning. The ancients symbolized the development of the individual through such acts. As the small spark among the cubes of incense slowly consumed all, so the spiritual flame within the student gradually burns away and transforms the base metals and qualities within, offering their essence as smoke on the altar of divinity. Many wonder why animal sacrifice is so prominent in the Bible. The student understands that these sacrifices represent the heavenly zodiac. When Aries or Taurus was offered on the altar, it symbolized the qualities in man that come through Aries the ram and Taurus the bull. In other words, the initiate, through trials and purification, offers the lower animal instincts and desires on the altar of his higher being. Among Masonic brothers, we find the symbols of mortality: the spade, the coffin, and the open grave with a sprig of acacia laid on the coffin. The gravedigger's spade, a symbol of death for centuries, is depicted in illustrations. The spade, which now digs our graves through passions and emotions, can also be used to uncover the secret chamber deep beneath the ruins of the fallen temple of the human soul. In the Book of Thoth, the spade is a symbol with deep meaning. Occult students see in the gravedigger's spade a part of their own anatomy, the sacrum, the base of the spine. The spade on playing cards is shaped like the sacrum bone. This bone forms the foundation of the spine and is also the spear of passion. Through it, the roots of the spinal nerve pass, the roots of the tree of life. This is the center through which the lower vertebrae and sacral bones are nourished, digging graves for all created things. The energies flowing through the lower spinal nerves must be transformed and raised upward to feed the altar fire at the positive or upper end of the spine. The focus of thought or emotion on higher or lower things determines where this life energy is spent. If lower emotions prevail, the altar flame burns quietly and dies out. But when altruism prevails, the lower forces rise and are purified, becoming fuel for the ever-burning lamp. This explains why it was a great sin for the lamp to go out, for the pillar of flame above the tabernacle is the spiritual flame hovering over man, lighting his path. This is the light that went out, the candle hidden under a bushel. It is the true light that forever chases away the darkness of ignorance and uncertainty. Let the light shine through a purified body and balanced mind, for this light is the life of our brother. The sun of our solar system, the spiritual sun behind the physical globe, is one of these flames. It began no greater than ours and through the power of attraction and transformation, reached its current size. This flame in man is the light that shines in darkness, the spiritual flame within, illuminating the path as no external light can. This radiance brings to light, one by one, the hidden things of the universe, and ignorance dissolves in proportion to the expansion of light. Only light can dispel the darkness of the unknown, and the greater the light, the more the darkness recedes. This is the philosopher's lamp carried through the dark paths of life, by whose light one walks without fear among the stones and along the narrow edge of the cliff. Yet if one gains all else but lacks this inner light, he cannot know where he goes, cannot see his steps, and cannot dispel his ignorance with the light of truth. Let every student tend the fire burning on his altar. Let him make his altar, his body, as beautiful and harmonious as possible and offer incense and myrrh his actions upon it. As in the tabernacle, he offers everything on the altar of divinity, removing daily the symbols of mortality, the coffin and open grave, by mastering the lower emotions within. The sprig of acacia, the promise of life and immortality, remains within, and if the flame of life seems weak, by daily deeds he can rekindle the altar flame within, helping his brother to light his own. In every mythology and legendary religion there is a sacred place above all others. For the Norse it was Valhalla, for the Greeks Mount Olympus, for the Knights of the Grail a castle atop Mount Salvart. Each religion claims a holy city, but all are symbols of one universal ideal. All religions are said to have their seat in Shambhala, the sacred city in the Gobi Desert of Mongolia, the high place on the world's polar mountain. Eastern legends speak of the Great White Brotherhood meeting in Shambhala to guide the world's affairs. Spiritual consciousness in man is the pilgrim on the path to Mecca. As this consciousness ascends through the centers and nerves of the body, it is like the pilgrim climbing the heights of Sinai or the Knight of the Grail returning to Mount Salvart. The spinal fire travels upward, stopping at many shrines, honoring many divine essences within, but always moving upward, finally reaching the great desert. Only after pain, suffering, and long effort does it cross the wasteland, and then in the heart of the lotus, the golden city, Shambhala, rises. The seat of the divine in man is at the frontal sinus between the eyes. There, a subtle essence known as spirit exists. This is the lost place in the sacred desert, connected to the lower world by the rainbow bridge or silver cord. The student strives to rise to this point within, the sacred pilgrimage of the soul, leaving behind the lower self and ascending to the higher self, the brain. This is the great pilgrimage to Shambhala, the center of the soul's government. All these things must first happen within before they can be found in the outer universe. The 12 elder brothers within must be reached and understood before we can comprehend those in the cosmos. To find the great initiates outside, we must first find them within. The lotus is again the spine, its roots deep in materiality, its flower the brain. Only when it sends nourishment upward can the lotus bloom within, radiating its spiritual fragrance. The buds of Aaron's rod are the 7 centers within you, which, as you develop your spiritual powers, shine as centers of fire in your being. The ancients used flowers to symbolize these spinal centers, which, when illuminated, show that the dead rod cut from the tree of life has blossomed, or that the student has awakened the vortices of creative energy, the chakras along the spine. In the Western world, the lotus became the rose. The roses of the Rosicrucians, the Masonic degrees, and the Order of the Garter in England all symbolize the same thing, the awakening of consciousness and the blossoming of human soul qualities. When a person opens this bud within, he finds, like golden pollen in the flower, the wondrous spiritual city, Shambhala, in the heart of the 1,000-petaled lotus. As the spiritual fire completes its pilgrimage, man is freed from the wheel of bondage, rising from the midst of his disciples, the folds of the brain with the great cry of the initiate echoing through the mystery schools for centuries. The purified student becomes a pillar in the temple of his God, joining the ranks of those who, in white robes of purity, their own soul bodies, ring the eternal bell, consummatum est, it is finished. Few occult students have not heard of the alchemist, but few know much about these mysterious figures who lived in the Middle Ages, hiding the symbolism of the soul's history beneath chemical allegory. In times when expressing religious thought meant death, they worked in secret, seeking the secrets of nature. Imagine the old alchemist, surrounded by books and apparatus, focused on finding the philosopher's stone. Through years of study, he strives to transmute base metals into gold, seeking the elixir of life and the immortal stone. Man has been an alchemist since he first rose, declaring himself human with latent powers. Experience is the chemical of life with which the philosopher experiments. Nature is the great book whose secrets he seeks through its symbolism. His own spiritual flame is the lamp by which he reads. His body is the furnace, his senses and organs the test tubes, and the flame the burner. Salt, sulfur, and mercury are the chemicals of his craft, representing earth, fire, spirit, and mercury, mind. The mystic realizes that he himself is the philosopher's stone, created when spirit and body unite through the mind. The elixir of life is again the spiritual fire, or rather the fuel that feeds it. The transmutation of base metal into gold is achieved when the lower self is transformed into spiritual gold through study and love. Thus man builds within himself the lost remedy for the world's woes. The process of transformation, where spiritual essences pass through the furnace of purification, radiates from the physical form as a soul body of gold and blue, a truly beautiful sight. Ancient symbols teach that the alchemy of life produces all stages of progress, as explained in alchemical writings, until finally the sun and moon unite in the hermetic marriage, the union of body and spirit for mutual development. This occurs when heart and mind are joined in eternal union, when positive and negative poles within are united, and from this union comes the philosopher's stone. Today's alchemist does not study alone in caves, but as he continues his work, the walls of the world seem to close around him. As he advances, the light of others' advice grows dim until he is left alone in darkness. Then comes the time to use his own lamp, and the elixir of life he has developed must fuel his spiritual consciousness. He steps into the unknown, where, if he has been a faithful servant, he will learn the alchemy of divinity. Centuries before the flood of Atlantis, Egypt was the land of great truths. The hand of the Great White Brotherhood was extended to the Nile, and the ancient pyramid passages echoed with the chants of initiates. The pharaoh, half-man, half-divine, ruled as priest-king. Imagine the Great Hall of Luxor, its columns inscribed with the history of the gods, the pharaoh seated in state, surrounded by advisors and the chief temple priest. The pharaoh wore the double crown of the ancient empire, the serpent of the initiate on his brow, a symbol of mastery and the union of spiritual forces. The pharaoh held the triple scepter of the Nile, the shepherd's crook, the staff with Anubis's head, and the flail. These represented the powers he had mastered: control over the physical body, guardianship of the emotional body, and mastery of the mind. Despite all his regalia, nothing was more precious than the triangular apron symbolizing purification, the most valued possession of the ancient pharaoh. Though the hand of the Great White Brotherhood withdrew as selfishness entered the hearts of kings and people, the priest-king still walks the earth with dignity and simplicity. The spiritual twin of the ancient apron still radiates in their lives, proof that they were and are priest-kings. They are found in all walks of life, speakers for the gods, and their purity shines outward, inspiring all who strive. One of the most fascinating symbols from antiquity is the ark or box, said to contain sacred relics. While many associate it with the Jewish people, every nation had its own ark, losing power and glory when it was lost. The ark represents the source of wisdom, above which hovers the Shekinah's glory, a pillar of flame by night and smoke by day. In every faith, the ark is carried by those loyal to truth, moving ever toward the rising sun. Nations are born from those who love truth and perish when they forget it. When a nation loses its spiritual core, the guardians of the ark move on, carrying the sacred work to new lands. The collective actions of individuals determine whether the light is extinguished or remains. Each person has a duty to contribute to the preservation of truth, joining the silent ranks of those who have dedicated their lives to its service. Within the human brain, between the wings of the cherubim, is the mercy seat where man communes with his God. Man is again the ark, containing three principles: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the tablets of the law, the pot of manna, and Aaron's rod that budded. When an individual crystallizes and excludes the sidelights from his mind, he shuts off the life force, leaving only the tablets, the material reasons from which spiritual life has departed. Solomon's temple, the perfect temple of the human body, the universe, and the soul, ultimately forms the sanctuary for the living ark. There, at the head of the great cross, it is placed and becomes a living being, the permanent place where man communes with his God. Only after passing through all stages of initiation does one enter the presence of the Lord, surrounded by the light of truth. The ark, this great spiritual principle, surrounded by its loving workers, calls all to follow. When great nations are destroyed by materialism and degeneration, the true servants are called around the ark and led from the land of darkness to a new world and promised paradise. The student finds that by connecting with the powers of light and radiating it to all in need, he is truly protected and becomes a son of God. Before studying the legends of the Grail, it is helpful to read the stories now called fairy tales. The story of King Arthur and his Round Table is a cosmic myth, hiding great mystical truths beneath allegory. The same is true of Parsifal, whose journey mirrors the spiritual development and trials each must master to become a king of the Grail. The legend of the Round Table, given as a wedding gift, symbolizes the union of spirit and intellect within the initiate. In the legend, Merlin places the anvil and stone with the sword on the town square. Only Arthur, a half-grown boy, can draw the sword, proving his divine power. The cubical stone is the body, experience is the anvil, and the sword is the spirit. To be a true spiritual king, one must free the sword of spirit from the sheath of the lower self and the world. The Grail, the cup from which Christ drank at the Last Supper, is said to have caught his blood at the crucifixion. Legends tell of Joseph of Arimathea carrying the Grail and the spear of suffering to a distant land. The Grail symbolizes the creative power of nature and the human race learning the mystery of creation. The spear, in the hands of the pure, heals the very wound it caused. Through these allegories, we learn that the dragons and ogres of legend are our own lower nature, which we must conquer to become true knights of the Grail.